all is well with everybody. I'm going to send out my shares and then we're going to get started. Just 1 minute. All right. Happy Friday, everybody, first of all. If you're watching this on YouTube, I know that it won't be Friday when you do get a chance to catch up on this for the replay days, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you did not know, every single Tuesday and Thursday, I post replays of my lives on YouTube. So if you are looking for support and understanding exactly why hustle culture is not working for you, why your energy feels like it's leaking, and how it's wreaking havoc on your hormones, we're going to be diving deeper into making the connections of how it's impacting the body when you as a woman are following hustle culture and how it does not support you in getting in alignment with what's going on inside of your body and what symptoms you're having, and healing those symptoms, reversing those symptoms, fixing the problem that you are currently dealing with. Because many of you right now are a part of the people who are physically tired, but not only physically tired, but emotionally tired, mentally drained, and you're always having to be on go. You're always having to be on hustle culture. You're always having to push through, hustle. You're having to work harder. And if you don't feel like you are disciplined enough or that you have enough self-control, then there's something wrong with you. And instead of you realizing that there's nothing wrong with you, but in reality, the society that you live in is designed around you being imbalanced. And so since they have designed it for you to be imbalanced, it's never going to actually work for you. As a woman, you are not supported for cycle syncing. You are supported based on a man's body that they have done scientific research on. And so instead of us being able to reap the benefits of how cycle syncing works for us, instead we have to push harder through our cycle. We have to feel disconnected from ourselves in order for us to be able to make it by through life, to deal with stress in an unhealthy way. And this stores inside of our body and makes us exhausted. It wires our body into chaos, and it wires us into feeling like forever being on fight or flight mode. And so when you are feeling like that you are unmotivated, that you're being lazy, or that you don't have enough discipline, society has taught you to blame yourself for that. But it's not because you're lacking motivation or that you're lazy or that you cannot do it because your body won't allow you to do it, but it's because you haven't been taught the right habits to set yourself up to make the small little changes that allow you to change your lifestyle. And they don't want you to figure these things out and to know how to do these things correctly, because if you do, you're actually going to have more productive life. You're actually going to have more in-body feelings than out-of-body feelings, and you're going to stop thinking that your body is betraying you and that there's something wrong with you. Because there are women who are sitting out here thinking that hormonal imbalances are normal. It is normal to have fluctuations through your hormones because you naturally go through different cycle phases, but it is not normal to be imbalanced. And that is the kicker, that we sit back and we are taught that it is okay for you to work harder and you to be exhausted and for you to have painful menstrual cycles and to be PMSing, because this is a part of you being a woman. But these things are common. They're not normal. You wake up tired, you're having energy crashes mid-afternoon, you're sitting here dealing with the cravings of sugar, dealing with having to have caffeine for energy, and then on top of that, throughout the day, you're having to eat these snacks for sugar so that you can keep making it by and to give you that dopamine response to make yourself feel good. And a lot of you are not understanding, why do you feel so off? So you're asking these questions of, why do I keep feeling burnout? Why am I so tired? How come I never feel like I'm healthy enough? And the reason why you're feeling like you're off is because the habits that you have that have been trained into you are designed to throw you off every single day and to not make you feel stabilized, to not make you feel comfortable. And so you're not experiencing failure. You're experiencing fatigue. And you're experiencing fatigue in a space of hustle culture. Hustle energy does not support you, but instead causes hormonal chaos. When you are having the feminine fatigue that we have going on with millions of women, you are going to constantly blame your body for something that is being caused by the habits that you have. These habits have been trained into you, generations before you, your grandmother, great-grandmother, and etc., and they've been passed down to you. This is a generational curse. And it's deeper than just saying, well, I'm the generational curse breaker in my family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working out. So that way I don't develop diabetes. That way I'm not overweight. Because a lot of you are not understanding that these gurus, these people who are telling you that as long as you get in the gym, you eat in a calorie deficit, you'll be fine, you'll be healthy, are still developing the chronic illnesses and diseases that the same women who are not working out, who are not eating healthy, are developing. These women are in the gym. They're eating the salads. They're restricting and starving themselves all day, not eating snacks, not eating sugar. And yet still somehow they're getting sick. And the reason why is because you were in a chaotic state. You have to not only focus on your physical, but you have to also focus on your mental and your emotional. It's a spiritual connection to your health journey. And so when something is spiritually off, you are going to be reaping the benefits, or the consequences rather, not the benefits. You're going to be reaping the consequences of you being energetically off. So even though you look good and you might be losing weight right then, it's never going to be sustainable. And then when you get 30, 40, 50, 60 years old and you're wondering why you develop a fibroid, it's because you were never in a space of reverting back to what your body was needing to reset. But instead, you were doing management symptoms the same way you take a prescription to manage diabetes, the same way you take a prescription to manage you sitting here dealing with high blood pressure, the same way you take a prescription to deal with depression and anxiety. You're never actually fixing the problem. You're just managing it to make it by day. That's what they're doing. And you see this by all these gurus who are getting sick, who are unaliving. Because when you actually do research into what's going on, the statistics, and you make the connections, a lot of these gurus are not living the lifestyle that they're showing you. Either that or they're not as healthy as they're showing you. They're still suffering from PMSing. They're still dealing with heavy menstrual cycles. They're still dealing with the issue of them not being regulated and balanced in their hormones. And then they're blaming it and saying, well, you do know that you have a uterus and bloating is normal, but then they bloat the size of having a fibroid or a cyst, and they're not realizing that's a hormonal imbalance. That is your body literally telling you you're going in an insulin resistant state. This is your body letting you know you do have a fibroid or a cyst. Just because your cycle is not, because necessarily, I've worked with a woman who was having issues with hormones, and her cycle was normal. It wasn't heavy, it wasn't too crazy, and it wasn't too long either. And so I'm sitting there trying to pinpoint. I'm like, okay, well, how come you're having the issues with your hormones and your hormonal imbalances? Where is it coming from? And we started to pinpoint. And obviously, I knew what food she was eating because she was in my program, so we were talking about it. So I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, so what symptoms are you having that is showing you that you're having a hormonal imbalance? If you're coming to me saying that you think you have one, but you're not having issues with your cycle. She was having chronic headaches. She was having body aches. She was having different issues with anxiety. She was having different issues with her body being in a stabilized weight. And so then I realized that I was like, okay, so this is your body showing you a hormonal imbalance without it attacking your reproductive system. Because not everybody's reproductive system gets attacked. But as I started to show her how to cycle sync, which is you following all 4 phases of your cycle every single month and eating according to those phases, working out according to those phases, making sure you're hydrating according to those phases, drinking teas according to those phases, and etc. She started to actually reap the benefits of what the body is supposed to feel like, not just going through the motions of a cycle and menstruating, but knowing what it feels like to be accounted for and active in your cycle syncing. And so then she started to have less headaches. She didn't experience the body aches anymore. She wasn't having the anxiety and the depression. She wasn't sitting here having the issues of the weight fluctuation anymore, but instead was feeling balanced. She wasn't feeling bloated when she was waking up. She wasn't feeling fatigued. She was actually feeling good about the journey that she was on. And I talk to people all the time who are in the space where they want to go plant-based, but they're not sure and they're not feeling comfortable yet. And so since they're not feeling comfortable yet, they have all these negative connotations. I don't want to keep eating the same 5 foods all the time. I don't want to be sitting here feeling stuck. I don't know where to go and I don't feel like I'm going to be comfortable, or I feel like I'm not going to have enough to eat. And then I tell them all the time, in the kindest way possible, you're not ready. Because this is the truth. Your mindset is not ready for you to take action towards going to a plant-based lifestyle. If you're already thinking about what you don't have, lack, and how you're going to be angry, upset, and hungry. Because that's not the truth. That's what you have been adapted to and trained into by diet culture. Diet culture has taught you to starve yourself, calorie count, restrict, make yourself have to eat the same 3 foods over and over again, hate this, and then go back to your old lifestyle. That's what they have trained into you. But instead of you realizing that diet culture doesn't support you, you say that this is not going to work and you don't do anything to change. This is a constant state of mental fatigue. You're in a space where your body cannot even fathom doing what it needs to do to support itself and what it's actually craving. And you're so heavily fatigued that you have subconsciously trained yourself to think of all the negative things that can happen before you actually take action. A lot of people say that they have self-love and they're not negative, but they're a very positive person. They try to operate in the positive. But when you put a negative connotation on your own health journey and you make yourself feel like that you are not worthy of having a healthy lifestyle, that is a chaotic energy that you have to release yourself from, because you're putting yourself in fight or flight mode and you're making your body believe it's in danger. You're making your body think that this constant go, stress and triggers is your life and this is what it's going to be forever. And this puts you in a high cortisol state because your adrenal glands are going to pump out cortisol nonstop to keep you alive and to make you feel not safe, but to make you feel like you're surviving. That's the word to say, because you're in fight or flight mode. Your body is in survival mode. And so it's constantly pumping out cortisol to say you're surviving, you're making it by. It's okay. Just keep going, because it's hoping one day you can release survival mode. You can get out of this high cortisol state. But high cortisol, when you're stuck there for years, like a lot of women are, it raises your blood sugar. It makes your insulin go crazy. High insulin creates inflammation. This inflammation is going to disrupt your reproductive hormones. This high inflammation is going to cause you to have excess estrogen, excess progesterone. It's going to cause you to store fat in your fat. It's going to cause you to store more fat. It's going to cause you to store toxins inside of your fat cells. It's going to cause you to throw your whole entire system out of rhythm. And this is going to make you do diets because you're thinking, oh, I've gained weight, so I need to do a diet so I can lose weight, right? And then you're doing a diet and you're following diet culture. And then all of a sudden you're losing all this weight. You're shedding these pounds, 20 pounds in 10 days, right? Or whatever that they be promoting. And even though you're eating right, you're never going to be able to sustain this. So as soon as you feel like that you're comfortable and you're safe, you go back to your old habits. So then now you're gaining the weight back and you're wondering why. Your period did not fix itself, so you're menstruating, and now it's painful, it's irregular, and it's heavy. You're dealing with the issue where you can't sleep throughout the night anymore. Your anxiety is through the roof, out of nowhere. And this is because your body has panicked, and you finally gave it kind of what it needed, which was maybe you eating salads and you doing a diet for a week or 2 or a month. And then you went back to your old habits. This has retrained that high cortisol state again. And it goes, well, we're in panic mode again. Let's start over. Let's start the whole process over. And a lot of women do diets and then they wonder why when they were losing 10 pounds, how all of a sudden they gained back 20. It's because you were in the space of synchronizing with chaos. And so when your body is fighting against you, or you feel like it's fighting against you, it's because it's protecting you. It's not because the body is actually sitting here saying, yeah, I'm going to fight her because I don't like you. But it's literally saying, I don't like these habits and I don't like the results of what's going on. So instead of me shutting down, breaking down, and unaliving, I'm going to start showing you symptoms and signs that something is irregular and it's off. But we aren't taught how to recognize these things and to take heed on them and to take action. But instead, we're taught to sit and manage or to ignore. But the body is begging you to stop surviving and to start synchronizing with your cycle and to understand what the cycle phases are and to understand how a plant-based meal supports you more than anything that they have taught you, because in the space that you are currently consuming food is to fill your body instead of fueling the body for health. You're in a space where it tells you to fill because you're hungry. But fueling the body, understanding how a rainbow plate supports you in getting all the nutrients that you need. So I'm talking to the girlies who are iron deficient. I'm talking to the girlies who are having these hormonal imbalances, who are sitting here dealing with the issue of anxiety and depression. Because you're not understanding that When you are in hustle culture, you don't deal with stress correctly, you don't cope correctly every single day, your hormones are going to be off. And this is going to cause you in the gut to have instability because you're not eating the correct foods, and the gut and the brain are directly connected. Do you understand that if your gut is thrown off, you are going to have the issue inside the brain of instability? So now you're going to be dealing with anxiety. You're going to be dealing with depression. You're going to have panic attacks. As somebody who used to deal with anxiety, who had panic attacks, I'm telling you, it's the food. And it's deeper than just, oh, I don't eat processed foods, I know how to read my labels. If you are not eating enough fruits and vegetables on a regular basis every single day, you are going to make your body chaotic from the gut to the brain. And this is going to cause anxiety and depression. And so when you are feeling disconnected from the body and you are not supporting your natural rhythm, you are designed naturally to flow into the phases of your cycle, to rest during those phases, to be productive during certain phases, to pause, have clarity, to have comfort, to be creative. But you don't know which phase to do all of these different things in. So now you're sitting back and you're thinking in the space of, okay, this is not working for me. I feel disconnected. How come I'm in a chaotic space? And how do I get to the space of calming it instead of forcing it, allowing it to flow, calming the body? How do I stop chasing the short-term control and the short-term fixes and actually get to a long-term solution? Be in harmony and in sync with the body, right? Healing happens when you create rhythm. How you start creating rhythm within the body is restoring actually getting to the root cause so you can restore exactly how you're supposed to feel. So when you don't have harmony within the body, when you are not synced with the body, when you don't understand what balance looks like, you are going to have the issue of nutrient deficiencies. You're going to have the lack of motivation. You're going to be sitting here dealing with the fact that you cannot rest and actually get enough sleep to be energized, but instead you're going to be sleeping and you're going to wake up and you're just going to be sitting here feeling fatigued every single day. Working through you having the issue of hormonal imbalances, and you working through your fatigue, you working through your imbalances, you working through the suffering and not taking time to rest and give back to yourself. And so then your cortisol is going to be high. Your insulin is going to be unstable. Your liver is not going to be able to detoxify. You're not going to have any efficient functions going through your body. Your brain is going to be fogged up. It's going to have no clarity. And the body is going to be sending you all of these signals of panic, and it's going to be in a high cortisol state. When you are in a high cortisol state, a panicked state, inflammation state, this is where cancer thrives. This is feeding cancer. You are causing your body to sit in a cancerous state for years on end. And the long-term effect of you sitting in this high inflammation state is you eventually giving yourself a chronic illness or disease, or sitting here dealing with a stage 3, 4 type of cancer. And then as you go on throughout your life and you're sitting here wondering why all the women in your family get breast cancer or reproductive cancer and etc., it's not because it runs in your family, but it's because all of you have the same terrible toxic habits and nobody has changed. But when you are syncing with your cycle and understanding how you flow through life as a woman, you will have nutrition in your life that supports you in that flow, and it supports you in getting everything that you need, so you won't be iron deficient. You won't be sitting here dealing with high blood pressure. You won't be sitting here hungry all day, snacking, eating multiple times a day, knowing dang well you ate a full meal this morning and yet you're hungry by 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You'll actually have movement that flows with you and understanding the different cycle phases and how movement impacts those cycle phases. You'll have motivation for you to work out, and not necessarily work out in the gym, because not everybody's a gym girly, but to be able to get up and get moving, whether it's a walk, you doing Pilates, you doing aerial, you sitting and you doing a cycling class or something like that. Something that supports you, that you feel comfortable doing, that you actually enjoy, not something that you're forced on to do because you have to do a workout and you have to get moving because you need to be in the gym so that you can go on this trip and look good. You work and you'll operate according to being balanced. So now your hormones begin to be able to trust you. The body begins to trust you, and you get out of fight or flight mode. So now your cortisol lowers. Now your insulin stabilizes itself. Your liver is able to detoxify itself. The brain is out of brain fog, and it actually is able to have clarity. Your body finally is able to trust you, and you feel aligned with it, and you don't feel disconnected anymore, but you feel supported. You have structure. This helps you grow from a space of femininity, and it helps you grow in a space that is sustainable for your health. But you have to know exactly what shift you need to step into by knowing the root cause of how you've gotten here. Knowing that physical and emotional and mental changes have to happen. So let's talk about the physical changes that shifts everything. Your energy will stabilize, like I said, when you're eating the correct foods. Your cravings will lessen. I know that a lot of women that I talk to that come work with me talk about sugar cravings and how they're trying so hard to get rid of sugar cravings. And I tell all the women that come work with me or talk with me about sugar cravings, and I say the same thing. Do you realize it takes you 2 weeks to get rid of sugar cravings? And when you get really, really on it, it only takes about a week. It took me 2 weeks the first time that I completely cut out sugar, I think 2 years ago. And every now and then, because it doesn't happen to me often, but I do sprinkle sugar back in. And every now and then I see myself being like, oh, you're eating too much sugar. And it only takes me about 3 days to a full week for me to completely forget about sugar. And I'm going to be 1,000% honest. When I say completely forget about sugar, like I'll sit there and it'll be a couple of days and I'll be like, I haven't eaten any sugar before bed. That's kind of interesting because I love a good bedtime snack. And the reason why is because when you give your body that stimulation of what sugar does to you, and I mean non-natural sugars. I'm not talking about the sugars from fruits. I'm not talking about the natural sugar that comes from the earth. I'm talking about non-natural sugar, granulated sugar, brown sugar, all the sugars that are heavily processed. When you are consuming those sugars, it stimulates your brain like a drug. And it stimulates your brain so heavily that it makes you crave it like a drug. And then it causes you to sit here and have all these cravings. And it makes you sit here when you have an insulin spike every single time you eat. Because when you eat, you have an insulin spike. If you are not using stabilizers, it makes your body go, well, I had sugar last time, and I know that I'm expelling a lot of sugar. So this is going to help if I eat the craving of sugar. So let me tell you that you need sugar right now. And so then you're doing this for months, for years, and you're wondering why you have such heavy sugar cravings. It's because you're addicted. It's because you are addicted. There's no reason for you to take a probiotic of any sort at all. Because you should be using food as your medicine first. If you need to take a probiotic for you to stop eating sugar, just to let you know, probiotics are for the gut. This is gut health, correct? So if you were taking a probiotic to help you be able to not crave sugar, all it's doing is coating your stomach lining, which is the same way when they have this pill that you could take if you were an alcoholic. I'm pretty sure it's a pill. I think it's a pill that you take if you're an alcoholic that makes you feel sick and like turned off to the smell, the sight, everything of drinking, right? That is the same thing that you were doing. That's an addiction. And that doesn't mean that you should take the probiotic to help you stop taking the sugar. It's a sign to let you know that you are so heavily addicted to sugar that you don't crave natural real sugar anymore. And you should stop eating sugar. Or we need to go to rehab. Because let's be realistic. Instead of you stop eating the sugar, you want to add in a probiotic? Do we hear the insanity here? When I just told you all you have to do is stop eating sugar for 2 weeks, that's an addiction. If you sit back and you think 2 weeks is too long, I'm not going to be able to make it, that's an addiction. If you sit here right now, and I was in the state where I was like, I don't know if I can go 2 weeks without sugar, but I'm going to try it. And I did it because I wanted, not only did I want me to slim down for my birthday, I wanted to be healthy, but I also wanted to get away from processed sugars because it's not good for you. So if you sit back and you think that you need a probiotic to help you be able to stop craving sugar when all you have to do is stop eating it for 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you now you have an addiction, and we need to discuss this because there's no reason. Probiotics are to help the gut, build the gut up. But when you're taking a supplement probiotic, that is not going to help you be able to build your gut pH and to sustain it. Because how you sustain your gut health is eating the foods that you should be eating to build up the gut. So things that help be able to build the gut up are things like sauerkraut, pickles, and etc. like that, right? So think about what is inside this probiotic that is going to make you stop craving sugar. If probiotics come from a natural state, and yet they're putting a probiotic and a supplement and they're giving to you, what's in the probiotic? We know that probiotics come from things like yogurts. What's in that probiotic in that pill? Because there's none of the things that I just listed that are natural. I teach from a space of using food as your medicine first. If you're using anything else before you use food as your medicine, you're using it as a management tactic and you're never going to be able to sustain it. Because that's what diet culture teaches you, to use supplements, to take this quick, fast drink that's going to help you be able to juice cleanse for 3-4 days and starve yourself. Do this diet of calorie counting, restricting, and not eating sugar or any of your favorite snacks for a whole week, 2 weeks, 3 months, however long, right? And you go back to your old habits because it's not sustainable. Are you going to buy that probiotic for the rest of your life to help you be able to not crave sugar? Because I can guarantee when you stop taking the probiotic, you're going to go back to eating sugar. So it's a chaotic space to be in. And when your digestion starts to improve because you start to eat the foods that you need, you're going to see how your health with your cycle improves. If you are a girly who has a painful menstrual cycle, irregular or a heavy cycle, a lot of y'all are not pooping enough. I'm going to be 1,000% honest. A lot of y'all are not going to the bathroom enough and you're not doing it good. And that is because your gut health is off, which is throwing off your digestive tract. And so that means you're not going correctly. So when you're sitting here and you're having that phase right before you start where you're constipated, you're not feeling good, you're feeling bloated and etc., that is because you did not go enough throughout the month. Specifically, you ate more food than you expelled. So when you're sitting on the toilet and you're going constantly those first couple of days, that is a sign from your body to let you know that you weren't going enough throughout the month and you have been constipated. Regardless of how much you have gone, you've been constipated. It's a constant roller coaster for your body trying to manage you every single month. And that's why your cycle is irregular, it's painful, and you don't like it. That it feels like a punishment. Because your cycle is a direct connect to how healthy you are. So if you're feeling like you're disconnected, that you're unhealthy, that it's a punishment, you're unhealthy throughout the month. That month you were not doing what you were needing to do. And so then in return, the body is showing you it wasn't giving what it was needed. And the same thing is happening when you are not only misaligned physically, but emotionally as well, because you're going to feel heavy. You're not going to feel calm. You're going to feel anxious and you're going to be reactive. You're going to have PMS. A lot of women deal with PMS, and then you sit back and you're wondering why you're dealing with PMS, and you're like, oh, it's because my period is coming. PMSing is something that we have given a cute term for being hormonally imbalanced, and we've given it a cute term and made it normal, but it's common. It's not normal. It is not normal for your body to go through PMSing. That is a lack of nutrients, and your body does not feel safe. And so what are you doing? Reacting, rah, for the first couple of days before you start actually menstruating. But when you are emotionally aligned, not only physically and emotionally, you feel lighter, you feel calmer, you're less reactive. The body can trust you again, it feels safe. So it's not sitting here dealing with PMSing. When you are giving it what it needs mentally, you can focus. You don't have all this anxiety. You are not sitting here chasing validation or productivity, but you understand there are times in the month where you're going to be more productive than other times where you need to rest and to give your body grace. Calm doesn't look like you being in an unstable place full of hustle culture. It's not silencing yourself. It's not ignoring your symptoms. It's having stability and knowing what inner peace feels like. So that way you can actually stay in this space. And if something happens and you shift out of this space, you know how to get back. That's how having a healthy foundation supports you. But when you don't have a healthy foundation, that means that you don't have trust within yourself. That means that you're not aligned with what your body needs. That means you're not going to have any motivation to do the things you need to do. That means that you're going to have lack of discipline and you're going to be operating in chaos. But when you give yourself the structure and the flow that you're looking for, you're not going to need to rely on motivation. You're going to be aligned with what you need, and you're going to know what cycle phase you're in so that you can operate according to that. You set yourself up for success. You're not going to have to follow a diet, but you're actually going to have discipline so that you know when you need to give yourself compassion and grace versus when you can be on it, and you can be on it, and you can be on the ball, and you're not going to miss the mark. You're going to have a framework that helps you be able to build yourself up instead of grinding yourself down, to grow within yourself and externally to shine. Because when you operate under the space of peace and comfort, this is from a foundation of structure, not control, Not you sitting here dealing with the fact that you feel like you have to hustle and to compete, but trusting yourself and knowing that you're giving yourself exactly what you need. Because playing the guessing game in 2025, 2026, and so on is not going to help you be able to rebuild the trust in yourself, and you're going to have different number of issues. And you're going to consistently have a lifestyle that is out of sync with yourself, and you're going to have out-of-body experiences. But if you are looking for a space where you can get rid of that hustle energy, you get into the space of no longer running on fumes, but actually supporting the body and building a life and a rhythm and a health routine that helps you get a healthy foundation, support your hormones, and to stay in a space of peace, releasing this chaos, my Balanced Body program is going to be able to help you to do these things by syncing with your lifestyle and understanding how to use food as your medicine, operating in a healthy mental space and making an action plan that you can stick with, rebuilding that trust within yourself, stabilizing your blood sugar, supporting the liver, the pancreas, the kidney, the gut, helping you be able to make non-toxic products, eating a rainbow plate, helping you be able to understand how to make natural medicine and create sustainable habits that help you be able to soften your life with structure and be firm in your feminine. But you have to know how to get rid of hustle culture in order for you to do this and to sustain it and to keep it. Because your body isn't here for you to keep hustling and to make it to have more effort. It wants ease. It wants calmness. It wants peace. You find that peace in a healthy foundation. And how you get away from feeling out of body is making sure you balance your hormones and to support yourself as a woman. So if you guys have any questions, please drop any questions that you have down below. It is Friday, so if you don't know, I do practice the Sabbath. So every single Friday after sundown, I am off the clock. But if you do message me and DM me about any of the links not working or any questions about the Balanced Body program, I will respond to you on Sunday. I try to go live every single Sunday. Sometimes it does not happen, but I do go live 3 times a week. So if you don't catch me on Sunday, I will be back on Monday. If you guys don't have any questions, I am going to hop off so that way I can do a few more things behind the scenes. I've answered all of my client related emails and etc. this morning, but I do have a few more things to do. I might even schedule the YouTube videos for next week, but if not, I'm going to hop off. Any questions for me? Thank you guys for the likes. I really appreciate it, and the follows and the questions. I really do appreciate whenever you guys are interactive with me, because it helps me not only know what kind of content to be able to help and support you with, what's drawing my audience and piquing y'all's interest, but it also allows me to be able to interact with you and to help you out as much as I possibly can. Because like I said, I post plenty of free content and information here on TikTok, on YouTube, and allows you to be able to get started from wherever space that you are currently in. And if you need that one-on-one support and you need that true diving deeper and you need that structure, that foundation, and you want that support fully, I do have my Balanced Body program as well as all of my ebooks, one-on-one sessions, and etc. So I'm not seeing any questions. If you have not gotten on my email list, go on ahead and get yourself on my email list, because you know every time I go live, you also get my Wellness Wednesday email every single week. I send out a Wellness Wednesday email and plenty other free content and information as well as we go along with life. Because if you are on that email list, you have more access than any other space, because as soon as something is happening or I'm researching it, I'm usually typing up an email. I don't email you all the time. I might email you about 3 times a week, maybe, give or take. But usually if I'm on it and I see it, I'm emailing something for either the previous week, for the following week, or the current week. So I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend. I hope that you have a great start to your weekend, and I hope you have a great time this weekend. Be safe, and I am out, y'all. Peace.